In his writing and lectures, Elie Wiesel has used his own experience of the Holocaust to mobilize global awareness of human rights and their continued violations. In 1986, his efforts were rewarded with the Nobel Peace Prize. His latest novel addresses the obligation of memory. It is called The Forgotten, and we're very pleased to have Elie Wiesel join us here for this conversation. Thank you. Yeah. Tell me what you want us to come away from in terms of understanding someone who has Alzheimer's and worries most of all about the loss of memory, and what you want us to understand about the power of memory and what it means to us.
First of all, I would like to show the tragedy of a person who is not only a victim of his own sickness, but of injustice. There are things that we remember, and therefore others also remember. What about the things we don't remember? For every face that I see before me, there must have been hundreds that have vanished. For every word I want to say, there must have been 10 I don't say. For every episode that I lived through or imagined, how many are there that nobody will ever know that they ever existed in my mind?
Is it a powerful emotion in you that the time will come in which there will be no one who lived through the Holocaust to tell and is still telling their story?
Well, that has been, in my case, surely the most profound anguish I ever had. What will I feel if I'm the last survivor? And I wrote about it in some of my books.
Right.
Of that fear, meaning, what is it? I will have to say, I am the witness. When I say I mean anyone else, of course, in my case. Even, look, we are here, we are alive, and already today, many people don't believe us.
Many, you think?
Many don't believe us, sure. First of all, there are those vicious, ugly anti-Semites who say it never happened, but even good people who say it cannot happen, it couldn't happen. A human being doesn't do these kind of things to other human beings. So the enemy, of course, played on that, saying that since a human being who is normal would not believe that this is normal, and therefore he could get away with anything.
When you created this character, Elie, what did you want? Tell me the story that you wanted to tell to bring these profound ideas to a novel form.
Well, the novel is actually between a father and son.
Right.
In all of my books, there's always that problem and that problematic and that situation. Father and son.
Obligation, responsibility
that means the father
to each
wants
other.
to continue and to communicate. And to communicate something which is the father. His life, his fear of life, his happiness in life, his joy, his sadness, his memory. What am I without my memory? What are you without yours? And in all of my books I have that situation. Even in the Bible, it's Abraham and Isaac.
Here he wants his son to go back to Romania.
He's sending him back actually because he wants him. When I wrote this novel, at one point I stopped because I couldn't end it. I wanted to end with something good, to say something positive, and I couldn't find anything because there is nothing. After Alzheimer, it's finished. There's only darkness and only fear, total fear, and anger in the person and around the person. Because the person cannot explain what he wants, what she wants. And therefore the people around, those who loved him before and still love him, don't know what to do. In this case, what I found is that the only redemption or the only redeeming possibility for the father is to say, okay, my son, now you remember for me.
You touch base with my memory?
You receive my memory. It's a kind of transfusion of memory. Just as there is a transfusion of blood, there is a transfusion of memory. That doesn't mean you will live my life, but at least you will be a continuation of my life.
And so I want you, my son, to burrow yourself into my life.
And you receive...
Then you will receive my memory.
My
you
memory.
go to Romania. You meet the people that were part of what shaped me and that are part of my memory and part of my past, for better and for worse. And that will understand and help you define yourself.
That means you cannot be what you are unless you know what I am.
And the message for all of us beyond the Holocaust,
I have written very little about the Holocaust. I've written more than 30 books, and only 3 or 4 deal with that period.
And why do we all think of you as so... We define you that way almost.
I know.
That's how we define you.
I know. That means that you put me in a certain category.
Yes, we do.
It's difficult to break away from it.
Does it make you angry? Does it make you frustrated? Does it make you what?
No, I say to myself, I wish I had written more.
Yeah.
The problem is you cannot. There are no words. And I'm always afraid I will use the wrong words. And therefore I'm so careful. Therefore I was waiting 10 years before I began writing about that period. But
because you said before, you waited 10 years because...
I was afraid I will not find the right words.
Yeah. Because no words could...
No words are.
There are no words that can define the horror.
There are no words for that experience. Finally, the enemy has succeeded in doing something which no one has ever done, not even God.
Yeah.
To do something and not to have words for it. He deprived the victim of a language to describe the victimhood of the victim.
To this day, do you understand how people can be that evil? Can you?
No. But then I don't understand the victim either. I must confess I have not given much thought to the perpetrator.
To the oppressor.
I am still busy with understanding the victim.
Understanding what about the victim?
How did I manage to survive? I was always a weak, sickly, young yeshiva, student of the yeshiva. And my first contact with reality, when I left the world of the Talmud, really, was that world of Auschwitz. How did I manage? How did I not lose my mind?
And your life is dedicated to what?
Today?
Yes.
Teaching. I love teaching. My passion is teaching.
But have you answered the question why you survived? And will you ever?
No. Whatever the answer is the wrong answer.
Yeah. What do you think you must do before you die? What must you feel that you have approached at least?
To communicate one spark of the fire, one word of the tale, one smile of the victim before the victim died.
Smile? Were there smiles?
All the smiles, strange smiles, a kind of despair, saying, I was always wondering why didn't people resist? Some did, many did, but some did not. And when you look at the pictures, beyond the pictures, you see the faces, and you come to a certain conclusion that maybe they didn't want to live in the world which is ours.
Because they'd seen the banality and the...
They said, okay, this is your world, take it.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Because I've seen all the worst of it.
They have seen the evil of the evildoer. They have seen the indifference of the so-called good people.
Yeah.
The spectators who could have saved so many lives and didn't.
You've been asked this 1,000 times, so I do myself no great honor by asking it again. Could it ever happen? I mean, you point to Stalin and say, no matter how evil Stalin was, and no matter how many people he purged, and there was a difference. Because what?
The difference was ontological, really. Here was for the first time in history, except for the Etruscans, for the first time in history, a whole people was sentenced to death, not because of what we have done, or what we have said, or possessed, or declared, or conquered, but simply for what we were. The moment a Jew was born, he or she was condemned to die, as if in that creation imagined by the criminal, it was meant for the Jew to die and for the killer to kill.
Yeah. And men, women,
children.
Fathers, mothers, and children. And
1.5 million children were killed.
Yeah.
That cannot happen again.
And you want it said about you, you will live many years, I hope, but you want it said about you what?
I don't know.
No.
I know what I would like, not even the people today to say. I would like to think what my father is thinking of me.
What do you think he's thinking?
I don't know.
You must know that. Do you think about that?
I think because when I write, I have sometimes the feeling of his presence, that he is looking over my shoulder, and I seek his approval.
It's true about many of us, I think, don't you?
think so.
But for you, it's more profound because of what happened to your father.
It's because he's not here.
Just because he's not here, not because...
And because I've seen...
Because you write about the experiences that led to his death.
Because I have seen him. I have seen him there. I was together with him. I was never as close to him before the war as I was close to him during the war.
Hmm. And when we put down the forgotten, we should understand the power of memory and the power of passage from father to son.
The need for communication. Also the impossibility that the father knows is his, that he will never be able to tell the whole story. I will not be able to tell the whole story.
Elie Wiesel, The Forgotten, a novel. Thank you. I hope you'll come back.
Thank you.
Back in a moment.